channel. My name is Cameron, and today we are looking at a speed build for a tiny shell challenge that I turned into the bar from Strangerville. Started off with like a really basic roof. I was definitely going for one of those Western bars, maybe like a saloon type thing. Still something that exists currently in 2020. Definitely like a historical building. Nobody really knows how long that thing's been there for. You know, that kind of vibe. Oh, I struggled so much with that chimney. You're gonna see eventually I figured it out. If you asked me to describe what I did, I'm not even sure I could tell you. I know it was doing that because it was too close to a wall. So I ended up moving the build, putting it back, and then like scooting it because I had made a mistake. Yoinked it over. There we go. Okay. So now it's one tile more over to the right than it used to be, but that's fine. We don't fix that. That's where it stays. I think it's better off that way anyway. Trying to figure out that good mix between like a sturdy building who's been there a long time and like a place that look kind of run down. Yeah, I think this is what we end up settling on. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I think so. Texture from like that island living wood is definitely like some nice worn. Yeah, it looks worn. I like that, but it doesn't really look like it's falling apart either. It just kind of when you put that wallpaper in Sulani, it actually looks like you could interpret it as like water damage, actually. Not necessarily like the place flooded, but like it's by the ocean, it's been moistened, you know. Yeah, and those floors are from outdoor retreat. Oh, island retreat. No. Island retreat would have been a perfectly fine name for that pack, but I understand what they were going for when they're like, no, island living, you live here. I think it was actually like a really good spin, like people live here, now you live here, like. But yeah, so I just wanted to make like a really cool bar that like the locals love. I like the idea of building it in a smaller space because to me, like, one of the flaws of the original bar, it is kind of too big. Like, it doesn't need to be that large. I mean, like, when you're actually playing the Strangerville like storyline, big spaces make it easier to look for stuff real quick. I like the vibe. It's almost like a cop show, you know. They always go into a bar they don't belong in or whatever, and then that's how they find, like, they think he's a suspect, but he turns out to be an ally or something, you know. I really love Strangerville as a pack, and I love playing it, and I also love not playing it, but like giving my Sims the backstory that they've done it, you know, that like they've lived that Strangerville life. I love that. I love that so much. We're putting that light on. It's gonna take a while because it can't be near a wall because then it'll just snap to the wall. So if you want it to snap somewhere else, you gotta place it and then put the wall back. Kind of like the chimney, actually. I use these lights from Cats and Dogs so much, and not because they're cheap, but like because they like, not that they look cheap either, they look like something that would have been there a long time, and that's good for like the aesthetic of the original like Cats and Dogs pack, that like maritime lifestyle. Or how do you guys call your, I mean, like, okay, I'm Canadian, so I live in the Maritimes, so I live near Maine technically, or New England, is that what you guys call that place? I'm terrible at American geography. We go in with a seating area. I think all of these tables, they're the tables from Get Together. Trying to figure out if you can like play cards on them, because they are like the table that you can place Don't Wake the Llama on. Can't remember if I place one of those games on any of the tables. Like, sometimes I like to have one table that has it, and I don't know if I did that here. The stools are from Discovery University. These are my new favorite stools. They have that vibe, you know? They have that like place that's been there a long time, or a place that wants you to think it's been there for a long time vibe, which like are both great for this build and for like university builds. I haven't built anything in Brightchester where it being in Brightchester was any sort of influence. Like, the only thing I've built there so far has been like a 10-minute build challenge, and it's just like a suburban house, so it there could be one there, but like, what's the point? You know, if you're gonna have a suburban build, you might as well put it somewhere where that's kind of relevant. So we're putting stuff on tables. I love that jukebox and it is huge. It's huge. But I'm really glad I could fit it in there. It was really important to me to fit in like all of the items that they had in their bar, in the original Strangerville bar, because like, I'm not quite sure what the requirements are for gameplay. like in that bar? Is it just a lot type? Like, could it look like anything and everything would function well? There are no there are no official bathrooms on this property, but there is like technically a sink, technically a toilet, you know, like it's just um there's a good old piss bush outside. I figured, like, you know, patrons of this establishment strike me as the type of people who might not mind peeing outside. So that's what we went with. This was originally for like a shell challenge. So this is Aveline, whose EA gallery tag is like Aveline White Tea. She's Aveline on YouTube, and she had a shell challenge with like a purposefully like a tiny shell, and you could annex some of it, turn it into like balconies or something, or porches, in order to make it like a micro home instead. So you could make like a tiny home or a micro home. But I decided to make the Strangerville bar with it. I think I posted it on time, but it didn't make it in the video, which is fine. I still want to show what building it was like, because I had so much fun, honestly. I don't think we keep that thing in our build at all. Like, maybe we move it somewhere else. Maybe it comes back later, but I think we just get rid of it. I do like that piece of decor. Oh yeah, growed. I have added some growed. I had a minute of thinking that maybe it was like, you know, like if you live somewhere with like a winter and you always like end up trailing salt into your house because they put salt on the sidewalks to melt the snow, and then your house is salty. Does it snow in Strangerville? I've never played in Strangerville in the winter before, so I don't really know what it does. But yeah, there's a dance floor now, there's a guitar, like this place could be bopping. Like I said, like I'm a big fan of the Strangerville pack and the Strangerville storyline, but I also kind of wanted this place to function independently. Like if you're playing The Sims and an NPC invites you here because it's like fun time, I don't want it to just be like, oh yeah, I invited you here because it's full of scientists and military personnel and there's nothing to do, unless you want to solve a mystery. I'm also like a big fan, because I love this world so much. I often will use the cheat where it's like, pretend that someone else has solved this already. And then Strangerville is just like a nice town. Could we call it a guilty pleasure? Is there such a thing as like guilty pleasure in The Sims other than like killing all your Sims? Is there anything else? I don't feel guilty for fast forwarding through the Strangerville storyline to enjoy the landscape. That just means I get better replay. It's freaky when you're playing a normal story and then like the zombies walk by or whatever and they're like, and you're like, no. But to be fair, I don't like zombies. Like that was the one thing about like the Sims 3 Supernatural. Like when it was a full moon and the zombies came out of the ground, I would leave my house on lockdown. I'd be like, okay, no one comes in, no one comes out. Like this is a plague upon my household. Ignore the zombies, they'll go away. Like I hate this. And like I like occults. It's specifically like in The Sims or like in video games. Like I can watch a zombie movie. Zombies aren't that scary to me, but I don't want to be near them. Anyway, I blabbed through some of the landscape on the outside. There's going to be a lot of landscaping on the outside, so there's plenty more. I was trying to make it match the world, but like I used more than just like the Strangerville objects, partly because like, I don't know, I wanted it to be like someone at some point landscaped this and then it went to hell. Or more of like the indigenous herbs of the prairie, what naturally grows in that type of environment. And then it went to hell. I guess like, okay, I have to say that like the closest I've come to this type of climate in real life has been going to like Alberta and Saskatchewan. And I didn't spend that much time in Alberta. I've only been once and it was for a few days. But I spent a lot of time in Saskatchewan. So when I think about desert-ish climates, you know, and like the dry prairies and stuff, like I know that like the red rock formations that happen in Strangerville aren't the type of desert that I spent time in when I was in the southwest Saskatchewan, but because it's what I know, like it was a huge inspiration. So yeah, so we're definitely adding some of that prairie grass that I love so much. Oh, I love these rocks too. Hopefully, by the time I'm posting this to YouTube, I have my intro all set up where there's like a sim like swimming across this quarry, basically. I made that in Strangerville, and I made that using a lot of rocks, including some of those rocks that are at the front. And it's just, I just love that aesthetic. I I love quarries. I love swimming in quarries. And I love those red rocks, man. I just love those red rocks. Yeah, I was tempted to put some of the alien stuff, and then I was like, no, certain flexibility that's nice to have. But then I was like, okay, so I'm not putting any of the Strangerville like aliens, but like this place is still standing and it's been in Strangerville the whole time. So maybe there's like what's the secret to your success? So I put all these bars in front of the windows. And they're from the Strangerville pack. I haven't perused the neighborhood in a long time. Like probably not since I did like my first run through of the Strangerville like storyline. So I don't know where they use this object in the world. Like I shrunk it down, so I don't know if it's like around windows or what. I still wanted theoretically. Oh yeah. Oh okay. Wait. Yeah, I still wanted it to seem like you could close those shutters. I got all excited about that like really pretty piss bush because it fits the world better. But the game doesn't recognize that as a toilet. Like because it's a debug object, I doubt it's functional. So yeah, eventually I have to go and put back the other one that we took from Get Together. But justice for the purple flower piss bush. Okay, I would really love it in another pack. Yeah, spellcaster shit. I put that there. It reminded me so much of that weird gun that Shadwell has in Good Omens, and like I know that has nothing to do with Strangerville, but I just thought I can put it there. No one's gonna notice. Like it just looks like it kind of looks like a gunish. It fits in my head. Like, but it doesn't have to be functional. Like it also kind of just looks like it's there. I have a love-hate relationship with that cactus bush, the one that kind of looks like an explosion of fingers, because it kind of looks like an explosion of fingers to me. But I do still use it. Face your fears, live your best life. Yeah, and then yeah, we put those. They kind of look like blooming onions, spiky blooming onions. Nothing but respect for my Strangerville blooming onions. I really want to make a restaurant at some point in Strangerville and have it serve blooming onions. Like I want to make like one of those like what's that restaurant from Fresh Off the Boat? Like he buys franchise or he buys like a single one, but they all think it's a franchise. There's a stock ticker that like that neon stuff on top of that painting in the seating section. But I love the idea of it as like almost like a numbers station. Those like the stations people get really superstitious about where they just read numbers out loud and like nothing else, and it's like this big conspiracy. I wanted the stock ticker, like it looks like it's just like reading off the stocks of the day or whatever, but it's a number station basically. But yeah, we're about to go into screenshots, so I will let you go and enjoy that, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.